Welcome again to our series on If These Cemeteries Could Talk. Oh, the stories they would tell. We're at the historic Summerhill Missionary Baptist Church, which was established in 1909 when a group of members of the Middle Grove Missionary Baptist Church, which was started in 1885, came to this site and started the Summerhill Missionary Baptist Church. Many of these members were former slaves. It was during a time primarily of horse and buggy, because the automobile did not arrive to Statesboro and Bullock County to around 1905 and 1906. These soldiers and patriots and Christians were many descendants of former slaves, and some of them were former slaves themselves. It was only 44 years after the Civil War that this church was founded. When we think of the African American church, we have to remember the challenges and the struggles. There was a loss of voting rights. There was segregation after the Plessy versus Ferguson decision of 1896. And even our cemeteries were segregated at that time. We want to thank the Pastor Raphael Smith, and those members here who have carried on the tradition of the Summerhill Missionary Baptist Church. We're at the Summerhill Missionary Baptist Church Cemetery, standing near an old cedar tree which represents many years of memory as it has shadowed this cemetery. One of the things that we are trying to accomplish with our If These Cemeteries Could Talk is to focus on the formerly enslaved individuals who lived during the era of slavery and later during freedom. One such person is Parker Perkins, and I am standing next to his grave and his wife's grave, Lorraine Lowndes Perkins. Parker Perkins was born in North Carolina and came to Bullock County in the 1880s, around 1889. That is when he married Lorraine Lowndes. During the 1880 census, he was living in a home of a white family. He, as part of the migration from North Carolina to Bullock County, Georgia, as during the Turpentine era, he came when many of the lumbermen came from North Carolina as part of that industry. He married Lorraine Lowndes, who was related to the Lee family, and they had a number of children. And these graves in the background represent members of the Perkins family. Lorraine Lowndes died in 1939, and Parker died in 1937. And they represent the era of formerly enslaved individuals, as Lorraine was born in 1860. Here we are at the grave of Al Smith Perkins and his wife Frances C. Perkins. He was one of the younger sons of Parker Perkins and Lorraine Lowndes Perkins. And this section of the cemetery have many of the children and grandchildren of Parker Perkins. And all of these graves here represents the Perkins family. I'm standing at the graves of Frank Baker and Rosa Baker. And Rosa was a Talbert. She was the daughter of Parrow Talbert and Laura Talbert. They were formerly enslaved individuals. Laura Talbot was the daughter of Alice Hall, who was a member of the White Methodist Church along River Road. Later, these individuals became members of the Summerhill Missionary Baptist Church. They had a number of children: Robert, Emma, Viola, Rosa, Willie, and Penny, who were members, some of them who were members of this church. And I wanted to call your attention to Frank Baker and Rosa because they are connected back to Brown Chapel Methodist Church, which was African American, and also the White Methodist Church along River Road. After slavery and during slavery, many African Americans were members of the white churches here in Bullock County, and later went on to start their own churches, as Miller Grove, near this area for which Summerhill came out of, was founded in 1885. Note in this cemetery is that families are buried together in groups. So this line represents the Baker family, descendants of Frank Baker and Rosa Talbot Baker. Okay, this is the grave of Rosa M. Keys, and the Keys married. She was a Baker and married a Key, and this is located next to the Baker line in the Summerhill Missionary Baptist Church Cemetery. This section of the Summerhill Cemetery represents the burial sites of the Cooper family, who was descendants of Brinkley Cooper and Rosa Williams Cooper, who married around 1889. As we go through and see the various names of the Cooper family, they represent that lineage who were members here at the Summerhill Missionary Baptist Church. Of Henry Cooper, who served during World War II. He was born in 1911 and died in 1994. May your memory be served well as you serve the United States in your service. Burial site of Saul Hendricks, who served in the Korean War. He was born in 1931 and died in 1978. And in the background, you can see other members of the Hendricks family: Daisy Amelia Hendricks, Dennis Hendricks, and Carrie A. Hendricks, all relatives of Saul Hendricks. That big tombstone there is the Boston right there. Okay, I'm standing near the grave of Julie Anderson, who served in the United States Navy and served during World War I. Along this line is buried the Anderson family, including his mother, Barry Anderson, who is just to my left, who was born in 1882 and lived to be over 100 years old. So this represents the lineage of the Anderson family, including Julie's brother, Hubie Anderson. There are nearly 90 known graves in the Summerhill Missionary Baptist Church Cemetery. One of the earliest graves known through death certificate records, but not necessarily marked in the cemetery, include Holly Harrison, who died on April 7, 1924 at age 33.
Also, death certificate records show that a Vanda Perkins died 4/12/1928, and a baby girl Boston died on 5/8/1933. Their graves are currently unknown.
The Summerhill Missionary Baptist Church operated a school near the very site that I'm standing, just near the current church building. I would like to mention the names of some of the teachers who taught here. They include Maggie Jones and Evelyn Green from 1938 to 1939, Maggie Jones and Bessie Cohn from 1939 to 1940, Maggie Jones and Bessie Cohn from 1940 to 41, Pearl Ballinger and Willie B. Williams, 41 to 42, Maggie Jones and Thelma Denson, 1942 to 1943, and Maggie Mae Jones and Larisha Ponda Nelson, 43 through 45. Miss Larisha Nelson and Miss Willa Edenfield from 1945 to 46. From 1946 to 1947, Miss Larisha Nelson and Miss Brazil Smith. And from 47 to 48, Miss Ponder and Miss Smith. Also, I want to mention Miss Nelson and Miss Wright, who taught from 48 to 49. From 49 to 50, Miss Nelson. From 51, Miss Nelson. And when the school closed in 1952, Miss Nelson. There were a number of teachers who taught at this school prior to 1938, when we first received records from the school board of Bullock County, and that was the extent of their records at the time. Based on research and oral history, I want to call the names of the following individuals who taught before 1938. Eva Jones Moore, Carolyn Green, Roosevelt Campbell as a substitute, Gladys Campbell, and Queen Stewart. We had Reverend O.S. Hill, who served on the board of trustees of the school and served as chairperson. Also a Mr. Burns. And there are several students who attended this school who later went on to matriculate at the Statesboro High and Industrial School. Thank you.